Welcome back. Now, in a world that emphasizes unrealistic beauty and body standards, it is crucial to embrace our unique characteristics of our different body types. Today, we're joined by body positivity maven Oyama Botha, and we're back with Jenine Smith, who will be sharing their views on this very important matter. Ladies, welcome, Oyama. So lovely to see you.
Thank you.
And welcome back, Jenine.
Thank you.
Now, Oyama, just starting off with you, what is your idea or perception of what body positivity is, and how have you been able to embrace your journey with accepting your body?
Lovely, that's a good question, Bali. So body positivity is essentially a movement that was created on the basis of bodies that were not included in spaces like the media needed to be included and be seen in a positive light, hence body positivity. So you're looking at people with disabilities, fat women or fat people, as well as just the black, the minority, etc. And it's really evolved to be the acceptance of all body types, and as long as it's seen in a positive light, and it's also included within the realms where people wouldn't have necessarily been included. So it's obviously a good thing, because when people are being seen in a positive light, you also perceive yourself in a very good positive light, right? Because you're being seen in a positive light.
There's a knock-on effect.
Exactly. And in that sense, then you do get included in spaces where you wouldn't have necessarily been included. So that has had a big impact in my body confidence as well, because I mean, I'm here on TV for one. So it's really just opening up spaces for people who wouldn't necessarily have been in certain opportunities and giving them that platform in that space.
And your personal journey, how did that look like? Because, I mean, if you're anything like myself, my body fluctuates up and down throughout the year, this year in particular. And it's sometimes so difficult to look at yourself in the mirror and say, I accept you, any shape, form, colour and tone.
Sure. I think there's two things here. It's the cognitive, being what you think of yourself, and then there is the perception of what other people think about you, right? And the cognitive can be changed, because that's a you thing. That's you working on yourself, working on your cognitive abilities in terms of what you think about yourself, right? That requires self-work. I'll tell you that, because we're all not perfect. Even the most body positive person in the room, being myself. I mean, full stop. There's days where, you know, it's a process. Like loving yourself, accepting yourself isn't a stop and saying, okay, I love myself now.
All of a sudden.
It's a process.
You will have your bad days.
Exactly.
You'll have your bad days.
And on those days, you know, Jenine, just to touch base with you, we have all grown up with this societal image of body standards, what beauty is meant to look like. Now, how do those societal standards of beauty affect and change our perception on beauty? And then the flip side, how then does that impact those that don't necessarily have the conventional idea or figure of beauty?
It has a huge, huge impact, and unfortunately, most of the time it's negative. Because you see, what we don't always link up to whatever's out there, and whatever's portrayed out there is not necessarily, well, most of the time it's not near reality, near to what we actually experience on a day-to-day basis. I mean, we don't see people that are filtered in real life.
And airbrushed.
So what happens is, when you do the comparison, and as human beings, that's what we do. From the time that we're little, we compare ourselves to other people, don't we? And that's a natural thing to do. But unfortunately, when there's a standard or a perceived expectation to be a certain way, that can really wreak havoc with your self-esteem and your self-worth, because you're doing the comparison, but maybe according to your perception, as you said, or according to your thinking, you don't measure up. So it leads to, that's where eating disorders start, and low self-esteem and low self-worth, you know? So it really does have a huge impact.
And, you know, continuing this conversation on societal versus cultural, because that's a whole other aspect. I mean, being Nguni girls, Zulu and Xhosa, there's always this thing of, before you get married, men love, you know, a nice, thick, lovely lady. But then, you know, we also grew up very much watching TV, and that also says something completely...
That's more Western.
That is Western. So then, how do these societal and cultural perceptions of beauty impacts us on a daily basis. Does it clash? Does it merge? Can we fight it? Do we work with it? Especially auntie who will not miss the opportunity to tell you that you've gained weight.
No, look, the responsibility actually lies with each and every one of us. And if you are a parent, what are you putting out there? If you're an auntie and you're modeling somebody, what are you saying? You need to take, all of us, as females especially, we need to take responsibility for our narrative. What do people find us saying? What do we focus on? Are we focusing on people's abilities, their skills, their qualities, or are we focusing more on aesthetics? Because at the end of the day, you know, our foundation as children when we grow up, that kind of is very important, because if we can nurture a better self-esteem or better self-worth, what then happens is that transcends culture. That transcends age. That transcends fashion. Because if you're comfortable with yourself for who you are, your skills, your abilities, your talents, if you value who you are, that just transcends anything.
All there. And I actually want to touch base with that on part 2 of the conversation, where you ladies will be giving tips and tricks. But Oyama, you are in the limelight. You're a social media influencer. You live your life online, and that is not the easiest thing to do.
No, girl.
How do you deal with those negative comments and those naysayers who feel the need to judge what they see and the confidence that you portray? And what advice do you have for all of our viewers watching, influencers or not, who might experience something like this?
I mean, any basis, whether you are online or you are in the public eye, like literally face to face, you can also get stares, and you know that stare is like a weird stare. So what do you do in an instance like that? I think the automatic answer is always like, oh, just ignore it. But at the end of the day, we're still human.
It hurts.
And it hurts, right?
It hurts.
But I think when you're at a point in your self-love journey where you've accepted who you are, you know who you are, you're self-aware, that if somebody's going to come and tell me, oh, you've got big thighs, I know that. I'm self-aware. It's not going to be an insult to me, you know, because I've done the work. I got to a point where I've known who I am.
Self-acceptance.
So self-acceptance, self-awareness more than anything, and knowing that, but that's not an insult. Even just the narrative of how I've played around with the word fat. It used to be an insult growing up, right? Taboo. Right now, you know, it's just a descriptive term. So it's knowing that and embracing it and basically taking back your power with certain things, right? But I always say the block button exists online, thank God.
Full stop.
So if things bother you, if people bother you, block, because most of the times the people that comment is probably people who have the most low self-esteem and they're trying to project. So protect yourself and block them.
Protect yourself against projection.
Exactly, I like that.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, ladies, we will continue this conversation in part 2. Thank you so much for your insights and being so vulnerable and sharing your stories.
Very important.
Now, we hope that this conversation has shed some light on body diversity. And remember, your body is unique and beautiful in its own way.